How are you doing? Good, good, thank you, and welcome. All right. On to item seven, delegation item 7.1, Tabor Skating Club, Mr. Orwa.
Yes, I would call upon Corey Ostrap to introduce the delegation and who is presenting.
All right, thank you, Ms. Orstrup.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have Barb here from the Tabor Figure Skating Club. Skating, Tabor Skating Club, no figure in front of it. Sorry. She has come to the rec board at the beginning of the month, and they have passed her through to you guys.
All right, well, thank you. Welcome once again. Feel free to start with your presentation.
Well, I guess initially we came to the rec board because we were seeing a decline in our registration and a decline in our volunteers, and we're kind of at a crossroads. We're not really sure what to do with the club. At this point, it's extremely difficult to operate with the few amount of people we have, and it's hard to keep the club afloat with keeping registration fees accessible to every member of the community. And we just wanted to make the rec board aware that we have clubs, and I'm sure we're not the only club struggling as well. So we just wanted to make the rec board aware of our struggles, and they had said they were going to come to town council with a proposal for to either reduce our fees or give us a break on fees for the upcoming season, just to help us kind of stay afloat for another season.
All right. Thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Barb is exactly correct. The rec board passed a motion, of course, to come to council for possible fee assistance for 1 year, I think the motion said. And I think to help these people out, because, you know, volunteerism is declining on their part. Their membership is also declining. So if the fee structure is such that it's a deterrent to some who need assistance, then we should try and help, because we do have the fee assistance program. So it's not a whole bunch of money, right, Barb, that you're looking for?
No, we do have casino, so we have the $30,000 for the 2 years, and so it's not like we're going to fold tomorrow kind of thing, but we do have other expenses that other clubs don't have, such as coaching and mileage for the coaches and that kind of thing. So, and then with the small membership, it's really hard to pay for those things without gouging.
All right, thank you. Councillor Strauss.
Yes, Your Worship, to our delegation here. So what is your biggest immediate need? Is it board members or is it cash? Like, is it a combination of both?
Our biggest, excuse me, our biggest immediate need would be bodies, volunteers, registration, like people in the club. And then cash is a very close second. We did just get a donation from the Kinsman Club, so that helps us out a lot.
So just in a follow-up, so if the town was to start advertising for board members to help you out and volunteers, you know, through our channels, that would be well received and could take some of the pressure off you if you could get some more people, because oftentimes the only people that volunteer for these type of things, of course, if you got you know, if the kids or the parents got their kids in soccer or skating or something, so it's quite limited. So maybe there's some people out there that don't know that there's a need there, that you have these positions and need help with them.
Yeah, we do have it in our bylaws, though, that you have to be a member of the club, so you have to have a skater in the club. So we would need more people, in like more registrants and more, I guess, I don't know.
You know, well then that could be a bylaw change, because if you can't help out, if a volunteer, if you don't have a child in there, then that kind of limits you to volunteerism that you could get, because there's probably other people that would help. So maybe maybe a change in your bylaws to accept outside help would be in order as well.
Well, we only had 3 people at our AGM, so that's not quite quorum.
All right, thank you. Counselor Beckering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was a good question by Council Strovers, and we discussed that at the rec board meeting, eh, Barb? As a town, I don't think we can help you much with recruiting board members or recruiting participants in the skating club itself. I'm sorry, but there's not much we can do in that regard unless you as a body can generate some interest that seems to be disappearing. But I asked the question again, if the financial requirement is a deterrent for some people to send their kids to Tabor Skating Club, we can help with that perhaps.
Yeah,
So, and is that true or not?
yes.
That the fees that you charge are exorbitant for the people who want to come to your skating club?
Well, actually, our biggest problem is the fees that we charge don't cover our expenses at all. So what we're charging is, so it works out to be for a skater in the Can Skate program, which is our Learn to Skate program, we have 10 lessons per session, and it works out to be about $20 per lesson. And people don't want to pay that. So that's including the Skate Canada fee, the registration fee, and then we charged a service fee for our website, just because we can't just flat out pay $1,500. And so when we did our refunds for COVID this season, I figured it out, and the fees we were charging only cover a half of the year. So and if we were to cover off the entire season through registration and fundraising only, it would be crazy, a crazy amount, because we have such few participants.
All right, thank you. Counselor Bruin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It seems like the interest isn't there from the skaters, and we can't do anything to help with that. And I think the sabbatical idea may be what you have to face to build up in more interest, so that it will be able to happen. If we start helping out with membership fees and that, I think you'll find a lot of hockey people will say, well, my kids can't afford this, we have to help with them as well. If the interest isn't there for the skating, I don't know what we can do. I'd hate to see it go to the wayside, but it seems there's not much we can do about it. If we waived our ice fees, or would that be enough? Like, what can we do to help you? You don't have how many members do you have? How many skaters are there in the club?
About 40, 50.
And they pay, if $20 a lesson is prohibitive to them, that's not very much.
Well, people like to make excuses too,
Yeah,
right?
but the $20
So-
isn't lots. Like I don't know what they charge at the gym for a kid to go for a lesson or something.
Yeah.
Like really, it's fairly nominal fee.
Well, we just wanted, initially we just wanted the rec board to know that this is what clubs are facing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is something that is happening everywhere, if we're just going to see a decline in organized sports for our youth across the country, because parents aren't interested anymore either.
No, that's the problem.
It's not, I don't even know if it's the kids, it's the parents. They don't want to be at the rink on a weekend, which there's no skating on the weekend anyways. But I think that's a huge hit that minor hockey has taken, is people don't want to be in the rink 5 days a week.
Yeah. It's a big
People don't
commitment.
want to take time away from their family time, which I won't get started on that, but I have a lot of opinions. Anyways. So I don't know, I don't think that there's a solution from the town or the rec board. I do think we just want everybody to be aware of what our youth groups are facing. And if we have to be the, I can't think of the word, the example, then so be it. Because I know there's other clubs that are struggling too. Like even if you look at the curling club, when I moved here and started curling, ladies curling was 3 nights a week and it was packed. And now we're lucky, we don't even have ladies curling. So everything is in decline, and I don't know what the solution is, but we just want the town to be aware that we are at risk of losing youth organizations.
I'm afraid one of the pitfalls with the economy and that, one of the first things that the family budget they might take out is some of the sports, which is a shame, but they gotta pay their bills, and if they can't afford the sports, I'm sorry, it's just not the most important thing for some people
Yeah.
now.
And
it's
we
sad.
do offer payment plans.
Yeah.
And we do offer kids sport. We offer fundraising to offset, but
Like you say, there just isn't the interest there used to be in any, like the kids, I blame it on the internet and everything else. They just as soon as sit in front of a screen and do stuff like that than actually getting active. And we gotta promote sports, but unless you can bring up your membership,
Yeah.
it's a hard spot to be in.
well, and the parents too. Well, it's
Yeah.
easier to keep the kids at home in front of Netflix than to
Yeah.
drag them out to the rink, right?
Yeah, it is sad. It's really changed, and just my generation, every kid played sports, and now it's
Yeah.
hard to get kids off the couch.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Counselor Strauss.
Yes, Your Worship. So, perhaps we need to take a page out of Dr. Becky's book where he went around passing out bats and balls and gloves. In this case, he could be passing out helmets and well, not him, but he could be passing out skates and helmets and shin pads and whatnot. So maybe we need to find somebody like that's got an interest to help kids, that they could help cover some of those costs, get them involved in it, because that's what he did for the baseball program years ago and the hockey program. He was involved in a lot of that. So maybe that's what we need to do. We need to resurrect that kind of an individual that can go around and do something to build some excitement up. And he did great things when it come to motivating kids to getting involved. And maybe that's what we need. We need that kind of mentality now from somebody.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much for your presentation. I appreciate that very much.
Well, thank you for your time,
Thank you.
and hopefully we don't fold.
That's right. Absolutely. Wouldn't want to see that. Thank you.
See you.
All right, so with that, any other discussion? Counselor Beckman?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think, this was probably a matter of public awareness of what the dilemma these clubs are facing, in particular Tabor Skating Club, and I think this is because it's live streamed, of course, that this is a good opportunity for the citizens of the town of Tabor to perhaps be aware of the issues that we are facing. But I do maintain that we as a council, there's not much we can do regarding urging volunteers or urging kids to register for something, because that's not within our mandate, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Anything else to add? All right, so no motion required at this stage, just for information purposes. So I'm prepared to make that motion. All right, Counselor Strauss.
Yes, Your Worship, I make the motion that council accepts information from the Tabor Skating Club for information purposes.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, on to second delegation, item 7.2, Tabor Public Library. Mr. Orwa.
And we have, I believe the board chair is in, and the new library manager, they should be in here within 1 second here. Thank you very much for coming. I think we do have the board chair and the manager, so maybe you can take the two seats, the presenters.
All right, thank you. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for welcoming us. Yep.
You
Sure,
bet.
if you want to. Yeah, we can do that. We have just kind of an infographic from 2019 that we just wanted to share. I don't know if that's okay for us to pass that out to everyone.
Sure,
Yes.
sure.
You want me to pass it around?
Yeah, I can pass them.
Chris will touch on that, but the stats from this are from 2019 because obviously 2020, 2021 is pretty impossible to get accurate stats based on that. So.
All right, okay, fair enough. Great, thank you. All right, feel free to start your presentation.
Hello, everybody. I
Good
am
evening.
Chris Vowles. I'm the new library manager. I have Kat Champagne, the chair of the board. For support, we have Bill Peterson and Tyler Robinson.
All right, thank you, guys.
They're also on our board.
Yes. So on behalf of the Tabor Library Board, it is my pleasure to submit our 2022 budget to the town of Tabor. I understand that as council, you must ensure responsible and effective expenditure of all funds. The town requires value for its money, therefore we must highlight the immeasurable value of our public library. The library is much more than a book lending site. Libraries give people the opportunity to find jobs, explore medical research, experience new ideas, get lost in wonderful stories, while at the same time providing a sense of place for gathering. We offer educational, financial, computer and physical literacy by running programs to assist and educate all members of the community. It is a safe and welcome atmosphere for all groups to gather, including schools, Safe Haven, FCSS, Eagle Spirit, exercise groups, and we work jointly with the Tabor Food Bank to provide those in need. The library is also the only place that offers free access to computers and the internet. The last year and a half have been a challenge for the library, as it has been on every business. We would love to give you stats on how many people use the library, how many memberships we have, how many programs we offered, etc. Unfortunately, we will have to use the 2019 annual report, which is what was handed out to you, to evaluate our successes due to the library being closed due to COVID-19. You will see that 61,732 people walked through our doors in 2019, and in addition to that, 43,552 patrons used our website. We have 10 public computers, which were used for 5,007 hours. We offered 216 kids programs, 270 adult programs, 40 programs for families, bringing the total of 6,135 people in total to attend. 2,183 people had a library call, and overall, we had 72,620 checkouts. We are confident that these numbers will only increase in 21 and 22 now that we are once again open to the public. The 2020 municipal reductions resulted in reduced community hours and programs. COVID provided a release valve on the budgetary pressures as AHS required library closures not once but twice. We were forced to lay off staff, close Mondays, reduce staff hours, and charge for library cards. According to best practices, the Tabor Library should be staffing at a minimum level of 0.5 FTE per 1,000 population, which equals 5.5 FTE for a hypothesis population of 9,000. We are currently operating at 3.951. Every year, the library has grown and improved, meeting the demands of the community. Reduced funding will not meet the needs of the residents. We appreciate the town for the building support and the library's ability to access experts in HR, procurement, and budget. We value those generous offers of assistance and knowledge. We are requesting a 14% increase in the town's allocation for the library. These monies will cover the expenditures that we need to successfully operate the library and keep the needs of the community met. Please help us to continue our role to meet the informational, educational, recreational, and cultural needs of the community of Tabor.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, ladies. How do you like it so far, Chris? Yeah. Well, thank you for your presentation, and and there's no doubt that the library has had considerable difficulties the last year and a half with the pandemic and other issues, of course. I think, for one, that the numbers you provided for 2019 are very impressive. I think it bears good information for the council to make a decision on further budgeting. But you also realize that it's a huge budget for the town to support. And I used to always call the Tabor Library a Tabor Regional Library, but somehow the region is not supporting it. So that really bugs me, you know. But I have no problem to include the requested amount into our budget for consideration. Not for approval, but for consideration at least. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Chavez.
Well, your worship, I'm just gonna make some comments. In 2016, the amount that the library received from the town was $229,000. 7 years later, it's up to $318,000. That's a $90,000 increase in 7 years. When you put it over that time span, that's not a large it's not a large increase, because it's for so many years they were held at that. For 3 years they were held at that 229,000. And since I got on the library board, I have a whole new understanding for the library, and they need help from this community. They do great things. They need help from us as a council. And I can understand Councillor Beckering, they say to take it for consideration, but these people, when they leave here today, they need to know where they're going in the future. They need to be able to plan ahead and then add to their 23 and 24. They need to do their 3-year projected budget ahead of time. And I think that this council should make a commitment here and put this figure into the budget, not just for consideration, but as a budgetary item to work on it on a go-forward basis, because they need the help. They need to know where they're going. These board members have persevered over the last couple of years of losing managers and not knowing where they're going to go. It's difficult to keep board members. They're struggling as well. And at least if they have the financial commitment from the town there, then that gives them some solid ground. But if they leave here and for consideration, well, that still doesn't give them any stable ground. And we need to support them, and they're all volunteers, and they've been working hard. And it's time that this council stood up and supported them for the 2022 budget, and let them work towards their next few budgets ahead of that.
All right, thank you. Just an ask to either Chris or Kat. This increase, would that get you back to your 5.5 staff status? That's what that's designed for? Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, Councillor Bruin.
So you employ 11 staff now? 5, because it says our service is delivered by 11 dedicated staff. Okay, now you're down to 5. And you said you had 2,183 people have a card to the library? And there's no fee for the cards, right? $10. Yeah, I can understand, because if you charge $20 a card, you'd get your 40,000 out of that. But it really bothers me that what Mr. Beckering said, it's a regional library. We need a little more support from the region than laying it all on the town of Taber, I think. Because I would imagine a good percentage of your users are from out of town or out of our boundaries. And how much do they contribute to the library?
All right, thank you. No, it's we can hear you, but it's just for the live stream. It's
sorry.
probably a
Yeah,
little
that's
difficult,
fine.
that's all. Councillor Chavez.
Councillor Beckering touched on a regional library, and so did both Bruin and Beckering, but we have this issue with recreation, all of our departments, you know what, and to handicap the library because it's not regionalized and they're not getting paid for equally. If we commit this kind of money for them, they can start working and making presentations to the MD and adjusting their figures and looking for more money. So perhaps on a go-forward basis, as they put more pressure on our regional partners, maybe they can alleviate some of that in the future. But for right now, they have a budgetary issue. It needs to be dealt with, and on a go-forward basis, they can deal with with the regional library aspect out of it. But at this point, they can't.
All right, thank you, Counselor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to our delegation. Thank you for your presentation, ladies. Are you projecting this kind of increase every year, or is this a one-time ask and the request will stay relatively flat, or can you answer that at this time?
So right now where we're at is that we've asked, in previous years, we've asked for more money that would, put us above and beyond. The demand that we're asking for right now really puts us at the plateau of what we need to suffice, including those additional places and additional jobs that we don't have filled right now. To answer your question, honestly, I don't know. Ideally, in my mind, it already sets us ahead of where we are right now. It puts us with extra people. It puts us with the extra ability to run programming, run things like that. So, it may be 2023, we could probably stick to that same area. 2024, I'm not for sure, but I do believe that, based on smaller increases that just weren't enough for us to suffice and to operate as a library, with this enough, we feel confident with this amount that we can do great things with the library. And I think that if that was, the ability to keep that for, like Councillor Strawa said, that, if that's what we knew for a few years, we could make that work. Right now, this is what we need to make work. But if that's what we are allotted for that time, we can work with that. I believe. I don't know if Chris has anything else to add to that, but.
No, I agree with that.
All right, thank you, Counselor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to be mistaken that I don't support the request. But there's actually two issues here, Councilor Stroas. There's two issues. You want an immediate input into the 2021 budget of $39,000 some dollars. I'm not opposed to that. But you also want that included in the 2022 budget, which council will discuss this fall in total. So that's why I said the word consideration. Consideration for 2022, because we passed a budget in total. So to say to you that you are automatically included for next year for $39,000 more, I'm not in favor of that. If you ask for $39,000 to balance your budget for this year, that's a different issue. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Counselor Stravas.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the 2021 budgeted amount was committed for the 279. Can you clarify that, John? Because that's what they received in 2020. So is it not the same?
Yes, in 2020 and 2021, they got 279,463 to be precise. And that's where it stands right now. So whatever it is would hit 2022.
So that's a good correction there, Councillor Beckering, because you related to 2021 that they were going to get more money. But no, they've actually been committed to 279 for their budget. I believe it was an accepted budget.
Yes, so maybe if you bring it on the board, I think you see what they have there. Just click on the actual Excel sheet. And look at the town I highlighted in 2021. So, no, I think this column here, this should be the 2021. So the town has already committed 279,463, and that's the budget that has already passed and was approved by council. So 2021 is already gone. And what they're requesting now is that 39,000 is the increase from here to here. That 14% to hit 318 in 2022.
All right, thank you, Counselor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Then I misunderstood because there's the delegation telling us that you cannot survive the balance of this fiscal year at your present rate of budgetary allocation.
I don't believe that it's this fiscal year. We have been, we had a huge portion of time where we had no manager. We've had some cutbacks in other areas, and we're willing to get through with what we have here. And I believe as a library going forward, we can make it through this year. That our understanding is that it was the go forward, that was approved for 2021. And this is what we believe to be operational, fully operational and open with enough staff and enough things that we can do. That's where the 2022 budget comes from that we're proposing. So
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Counselor Stravas.
Yes, to answer Councillor Firth's question about budget and if it's going to be stable for 2023, if we allocate this money here for them for 2022, and they know that they've got this, then they can project ahead and they can do a 3-year rolling budget ahead to see where they're going to be at. So they'll have that stability, so they'll know where they are in 2022, and they can work forward on that. So again, I would request that council approve this tonight and let them move forward and let them get their feet on the ground. They've had a couple of, well, everybody in COVID, but they've had some tough times in COVID, and they haven't qualified for all this COVID money that other organizations have been, because one of their problems is because they're at arm's length of the town, so the town has to funds them, so they don't qualify for any grant money for any wages or anything like that. So again, they're in a bit of a pickle, to say the least, and we need to help them out.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? All right, thank you so much for your presentation, ladies. Thank you. Councillor Strauss.
Your worship, I'll proceed with a motion at this point. That council receives the request for funding from the Taber Public Library and further requests that administration include the amount in the Town of Taber 2022 budget deliberations for actuals, not for consideration like Councillor Beckering requested.
All right, sir, and are you including the figure in there, Councillor Strauss?
Yes, the figure of $318,588.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Yes, I just ask you, just have media inquiries, Mr. Orwell. Is there anything whatsoever?
Yes, His Worship, no media inquiries today.
All right, thank you. With that, I would ask just to move into closed session after a 15-minute recess, please. All right. Motion on the table? Somebody? Councilor Bruin, all right. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.